Rhoni Reuter had never been happier.
She wanted to be the best mom that she could be.
Ronnie was expecting her first child with her boyfriend, former Chicago Bears Super Bowl champ Shaun Gayle.
The plan was for Shaun to be part of the baby's life.
The couple had even come up with a name for their little girl, Skylar Gayle.
So how far along was she?
She was 7 months pregnant.
But just over 40 days from bringing a life into the world, Ronnie's life was taken.
Yeah, I'm calling about that shooting in Deerfield. Was it Rhoni Reuter? Is she okay?
Yes, it was Ronnie, and no, she's not.
She's dead?
The man screaming is Shaun Gayle. The legendary tough guy now sobbing hysterically when he finds out the love of his life is dead. And the motive for Ronnie's murder? Baby Skylar.
So the first shot was to the baby?
The first shot appeared to be targeted right at her stomach.
Who does that?
This was about as evil as it gets.
They were football royalty in Deerfield, Illinois. Shaun, the much-adored Chicago Bear.
Anybody who's associated with that team is a local hero.
And Rhoni Reuter, the stunning brunette, working her way up in the fashion field.
How did people describe Ronnie?
Ronnie would light up a room when she walked in. People instantly liked her.
Retired Detective George Falenko says the two met at a Bears training camp near Ronnie's hometown in Wisconsin.
I believe her and Shaun began engaging in conversation there, and that was the beginning of the relationship.
For nearly 2 decades, Ronnie and Shaun are blissfully inseparable, traveling the globe. Then news that blindsides the couple. At 41, Ronnie discovers she's pregnant.
Was Ronnie excited about having this baby?
Yes, she was very excited.
The older mom takes every safety precaution. She even wears a Pearl Medic Alert bracelet. That way, if anything ever happens to her, doctors will know to save baby Skylar.
And she wore it all the time, never took it off.
Initially, the football star doesn't seem as thrilled about becoming a dad. But over time, State Attorney Ari Fitz says Shaun tells friends he's warmed up to the idea.
There were books that were actually found at his home regarding being a father and parenthood and that sort of thing.
On the morning of October 4th, with just a little more than a month away from delivering her miracle baby, Ronnie heads off to work. But when she opens her front door, a nightmare is there to greet her with a loaded gun.
Deerfield Police. I heard a woman screaming and then a pop, pop, and it went totally silent. I called my other neighbor upstairs, and she is pregnant, and she does not answer.
Ronnie's neighbor tells the operator she heard 7 to 8 shots followed by a loud thud.
She described hearing a pop, pop.
And she told detectives the shots sounded strangely muffled.
She had recently seen a movie where there was a gun that was fired using a silencer, and she said that that's what it sounded like.
When Deerfield police arrive, they find the expectant mother dead on the kitchen floor with a sonogram hanging over her head on the refrigerator.
The door's partially opened. They walk in. The first thing they see is Ronnie laying on the kitchen floor. It was pretty clear that something bad had happened.
The police and paramedics responded right away, but it was very obvious there was nothing they could do for Ronnie or her child.
Did this appear to be a random act, or was this a targeted hit?
No, this was targeted. No way did we ever suspect that this was random.
Deerfield police assume Ronnie was the target until they get a closer look.
The first shot appeared to be targeted right at her stomach.
Police say during Ronnie's last breath, she cradled her unborn baby girl, trying to protect Skylar from the hail of bullets. But she couldn't save the baby, and the final bullet would make sure Ronnie wouldn't survive either.
The final wound sort of was a coup de grace, very cold-blooded, was a shot to the head, to the back of the head, almost like an assassination type of thing, a final ending.
So with the shots to the baby, did that lead you to believe that this could have been the motive, her being pregnant?
We didn't know what the motive was.
Cops say there was no forced entry into her apartment or fingerprints, just some unspent 9mm shell casings scattered haphazardly around Ronnie's body.
Normally in a case like that, the gun's jamming for some reason.
So someone, the murderer's gun, jammed, and that was the reason for the unspent shell casings.
Well, that was the theory initially.
Police tracked down a neighbor who reports seeing a dark-skinned male running from the scene.
Did the witnesses seem to suggest that this was a black person leaving the home of Ronnie who killed her?
One of the witnesses indicated that the person that they saw walking away was a short, thin, African-American looking person in appearance with dark curly hair.
Another witness tells cops they remember a black car speeding away.
So that's what you had to go on.
That was the information from the witnesses, yes.
News of a possible killer on the loose rocks the city of Deerfield.
Nothing bad ever happens in Deerfield, so word of the shooting spread quickly.
Across town, Shaun gets a call from a local reporter telling him a pregnant lady has just been shot in Ronnie's neighborhood.
Listen, I've been getting calls from the media. This is Shaun Gayle. Was it Rhoni Reuter? Is she okay?
Yes, it was Ronnie, and no, she's not.
She's dead? I gotta call her parents. Who would do this?
He was very upset on the phone. You could barely make out what he was saying.
While many rushed to console the grieving gridiron great, Deerfield police weren't buying his tears.
Was Shaun considered a person of interest?
Initially, Shaun was considered a person of interest almost immediately.
Shaun tells police he had nothing to do with Ronnie's murder.
Did he have an alibi?
He did. He was getting his hair cut in North Chicago.
Was there a possibility that he could have committed the crime and then gotten back to the barbershop in that time frame?
It was theoretically possible.
So he wasn't ruled out because of that alibi?
Not because of the alibi, no.
But what about that eyewitness's description of the slim African-American man spotted fleeing the scene?
Did Shaun's physical build match that of the fleeing suspect?
In fact, he's a former professional football player, so he was a bigger guy, and the physical build didn't match at all.
Still, cops couldn't rule out the possibility Shaun had an accomplice or hired a hitman.
Unfortunately, suspect number one is going to be the other half.
The big question cops couldn't answer, why would Shaun want to kill Ronnie and his unborn baby girl?
We still didn't know the whole story, so we're still trying to piece things together. But Shaun was still a primary person of interest.
Then investigators stumble across a bizarre letter inside Ronnie's purse, written in broken English.
What about this letter that was found in Ronnie's purse?
It was a letter drafted to a number of women. I believe there may have been 15, 16, 17 women on this letter, including Ronnie.
Cops soon discover the women on the list had one thing in common. They were all sleeping with Shaun Gayle.
They knew he was a player.
Player's a good word.
You got something
We got something.
big.
Yes.
Up next, did a foreign affair with a much younger fitness model lead to murder?
This was very well planned.
Or was Shaun sleeping with the enemy?
She struck a nerve with him.
Oh, she struck a nerve. It basically was very blunt. He's having relationships with all these women. He's out there playing all of you.